Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Thursday, the 28th of November. With McShane, we continue working through the prophet Micah. Today, the third chapter, continuing judgment on the nation of Israel. And Micah looks and says, it's not the people, it's the leadership, those people in authority that are the problem. Verse 9, hear this, you leaders of Jacob, you rulers of Israel, who despise justice and distort all that is right, who build Jerusalem with bloodshed and Jerusalem with wickedness. Here are these people that are supposed to be leading, and they're distorting it, they're corrupting it, they are undermining what is happening. And it spreads. Verse 11, her leaders judge for a bribe, her priests teach for a price, and her prophets tell fortunes for money. Yet they look for the Lord's support and say, is not the Lord among us? No disaster will come upon us. And here were these people that were supposed to be doing God's will. They were the agents of God to establish society, to bring justice, to make sure that things are right. And what they're looking at is how they can benefit, how they can profit, what they can make out of the deal. And it happens today as well. And I'm always very wary of preachers that encourage you to contribute to their ministry. Now, ministries, if they are God or have God behind them, do need support, and the church does need support. But it's always, for me, a little worrying when priests teach for a price. There is no price. We do it because God calls us to, and He is our ultimate reward. So I'm always a bit wary. And we look at our country and we've seen how this has happened, where the leaders have been accepting bribes and people in authority line their own pockets. And as that happens, more and more, the whole of society becomes rotten and begins to crumble. And God looks and says, this isn't going to just keep going forever. And even though people were saying, we have God on our side, we're God's people, this is the temple, he says, no, if there's corruption, it will be dealt with. And dealt with in Micah's instance with firmness and with severity. Therefore, verse 12, therefore, because of you, Zion will be plowed like a field. It will be dug up and there will be nothing left. Jerusalem will become a heap of rubble. That magnificent city on the top of the hill would just be rubble, nothing left. And the temple hill, a mound overgrown with thickets. This great temple covered with gold and the center of worship will become just a hillside, a hill covered in thickets. God's judgment will happen. Micah warned about it, and God's warning was fulfilled. That's what happened. And as God looks at our society, He's calling for justice, He's calling for righteousness. He will still hold us accountable. And so we need to constantly be the salt of the earth, be out in society, calling people back, challenging people, holding people accountable, saying corruption is not acceptable. We need to be pointing to where there are errors and where things are wrong and calling people back to what is right. And we always need to make sure that we're not just pointing fingers at people, but that we're living it out ourselves. And so may each one of us live uprightly, live justly, live righteously in the eyes of the world and under God, so that we will be an example, a light in the world. And as we do it, we pray that the church will do it more and more as well, and therefore have an impact on society. Be encouraged, be challenged, and know that we are blessed.